How are you?
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
We've had a conversation earlier.
Yes, sir, we did had, and sir, I met you as well in the felicitation of KingMakers last year.
Yes, yes,
Or
yes.
yes, yes.
क्या बातें क्या करनी भाई, अब बताओ, तुम तो सब जानते हो।
सर, अब सर सेंट्रल सर्विस से ऑल इंडिया सर्विस में आने के लिए कुछ बताइए।
अच्छा अच्छा, very good.
Yes,
So let's keep it in a conversation mode. You already know who I am.
yes, I do.
I already know who you are. Um, I've already told you earlier also that just a few things. I was having a conversation with Chatar Singh. Chatar is my batchmate,
Okay.
and he was a member of UPSC, and obviously, therefore, chairperson of many interview panels. And he reiterated the same thing which I had said earlier. One is that it's not a Q&A. So please don't look at it like you're there to answer questions. Questions or comments or the quotation or anything else. It's just a conversational trigger. It's not, so which leads to the next corollary is that it's not it's not a test of your knowledge in that sense, because your knowledge has already been tested fairly well by way of your capacity to be able to go through a series of data and be able to choose the right kind of data on the basis of the prelims, and to be able to delve deep into a larger reservoir of knowledge that you have and reduce it down to a 300 word or a 350 word, and uh, and therefore be able to bring from a larger mass of data to a more relevant smaller mass of data and be able to talk about it. All that has been tested. So it's on the basis of knowledge. It's basically to check whether you have the personality to become a civil servant or not. Now you've already qualified it. I think you're just going to jump up. That's what you're seeking. So personality, again, let me tell you, Yash, very clearly is that it's a sum total of many things. Physical personality, emotional personality, or intelligence personality, or spiritual personality. All those things combined together in the right kind of measure reflect the fact whether you have the civil service personality or not. So I mean that's it basically. And the conversation time that you have, which is 25 to 30 minutes inside the room, is essentially to see whether, based on the knowledge which he has already exhibited in the prelims and and in the main examination, does he now have the civil services kind of personality to be able to make it into the service. That's all that's being tested. And I mean, I need to repeat myself, but based again on previous experience of others and your own, the 5 to 7 minutes will very clearly determine to a very large extent the bracketization of your marks in the interview. 50% below or above, and 200 below or above. It's significant that the first 5 to 7 minutes are good. First 5 to 7 minutes, again, typically are the time when the panel has been instructed by the chair that you have to make them comfortable. You have to allow them to settle down. So it's not like they shoot from the hip. You are allowed to sit down and tell us something about yourself, and tell us something about for you in your case, like Bhagalpur is stairs,
Yes, sir.
and everybody has a Bhagalpur memory, which is not the best of the blindings and stuff like that happened. So it could be that. I mean, how does it feel? You come from a town like Bhagalpur. You're there, you can't change it. But Bhagalpur has some very negative kind of memories, and so Yash, Vishwen, what do you think about Bhagalpur? Why did this happen, and what could have possibly led to something like this being happen? Or you have a very unusual address. Ultimately it's Jangli Kali Asthan. So, I mean, I have never heard of an address like that. What is Jangli? What is so jungly about that? Kaliastan or something like that. You know, it'll be just to make you, you are from Bihar, your father's worked in the government public sector, and you are also, you know, you're working in the, you know, in the government, and now you would like to come in this thing. Why is it that, you know, somebody as smart as you've been a topper and gold medal winner and all those things? Why would you not want to become a, you know, why would you want to just become a wage employer rather than an entrepreneur and, you know, be self-employed? And, you know, here you get employment for one person, there you'll be able to employ thousands of people. These are the kind of questions which might happen in the first 4 to 5 minutes, because all they know about you is your DAF. So I'm sure you must be already very well prepared for all those things. My so I mean, I think we could just go on. What are your doubts in your mind, and how do you think I can help you sort those out?
Sir, so basically there are three things which are new in my DAF with service last year, sir. So the first is obviously my service, that is the Indian Defence State Services, which I've got. So I can expect questions on that for sure. Then, sir, there are two other things which I have added in my leadership module. So the first is that I led a teaching module in East Karbi Anglong post my results. It was a 1 year program. I taught Karbi tribe people. So again, that is something that is an area where I'm expecting some questions. And then, sir, being in training, we have been given the opportunity to adopt a school, and I adopted a school, Kripa, which is a school for children with special needs.
It's all there.
Yes, sir. So these three aspects are there which are new to my DAF, and if you can help me through these topics, then it will be helpful for me.
Sure. So I'll go back to your DAF. Essentially, you're looking at, if you look at your DAF 2, and we go to, these are all part of your data which you have given. So you have, you led a teaching module at East Karbi Anglong to educate Karbi tribe students. I think I have written that in my this thing also. So let's take that, number one. It could, so I would expect you to know all about the tribal policies of the government of India. I would expect you to know the new tribal initiatives which have been taken out, that I think Janman or something like that. There's a scheme which has
Yes,
come.
sir. PM Janman.
PM Janman, उसके बारे में आपको पूरा मालूम होना चाहिए. So essentially, you must be able to be in a position, Yash, to be able to speak about 15-20 minutes on the subject if you were asked to. But if you were asked to, you know, comment on, and you know that my outer limit is not more than 65 to 75 seconds. What I would coach you in is to have a macro view of kind of on the policy, on the objectives of the policy, and then zero down in terms of the objectives that you must, you know, which the policy seeks to serve, and the instruments through which it seeks to serve, without getting into too much of a nitty-gritty of numbers and this, that, etc. Because you are expected to. So, I mean, hypothetically, suppose you're the Secretary Government of India, you know, tribal welfare, and you know the policy has just come out. How do you think you will be able to apply it to a place like Anglong or some other place? Or how do you think we can make it more effective? What are the challenges that you saw that you would like to suggest that policy suggestions can be changed based on your experience? So typically, the vision of the policy or the main objectives of the policy are never lost sight of. And the instruments through which the objectives and the visions which are to be served can obviously be generic in a Government of India policy. But the modifications that through your knowledge, if you can suggest, or what could be the changes which would be based on ground level reality at a policy level, that is something that they could be asking you about. They could, so if I would say all about tribals.
Okay.
That is very important. Number two, the role of education in tribal society. Number 3, do you think tribals should be moved out of tribal areas? Should education mean that they have to migrate from where they live in tribal areas and move to urban cities? Or you feel that there is a certain heritage and culture which should be maintained by. So how would you encourage reverse migration to, let's say, people from the tribes who have actually done well to go back and do it? So basic infrastructure requirements, the empowerment of human growth factors, education, health. How do you think that can be all improved there, and not that you move to someplace else? Those are the issues on which you should be having, because the expectation from you will be much higher.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, you have to hit the road running. I mean, you can't be told, okay, you can't take baby steps. Okay, sir, I would do this, I would do that. They don't expect that from you. They'll expect कि भाई आप already काम वाम कर चुके हो, अब आप बताओ कि कैसे किया जाए. So that is as far as your Dhabi students is concerned. So I would prepare along those lines.
Okay.
Obviously, I mean, um, everybody would like to know about the new initiatives that the government is in. What is the difference that has happened from the past to now? A little bit of a comparison of the old policy and the new policy. Where does the new policy have more effective this thing?
Okay, sir.
Then Kripa School for Differently Abled in Delhi can.
Yes, sir.
Again, policies of this thing and the change, the change in mindset from physically challenged to differently abled. There's been a migrational change which has taken place even in the descriptional. So how do you think, what are the things that could be done to make the society more inclusive to them? So starting with the rules that were changed when every building had to have a ramp and.
Yes, sir.
So I mean, let's say, so from a physical inclusion, how do you think socio-economic political inclusion can happen? तुम जो बोलना चाहो बोलो. I mean, if there are today, if there are reservations for places where where you can through policy make difference, which means in parliament, as a parliamentarian or in state assemblies or in things, if there can be reservation on other basis, one could even consider why shouldn't there not be reservation for people with disabilities and different. I mean, I'm leaving it to you.
Okay, sir.
उस पे हो सकता. How did you think about it? Why did you think? What was your inspiration? Typical very low level question could be that, is there any NGO which inspired you? How did you think of this? What are the NGOs? Which are the other NGOs which are working in this space, for differently abled? Can you name 2 or 3? I mean, typically, if the person is not well read, they'll think of Helen Keller and stuff like that. So, Braille, so different abled. So, what are the different types of different abilities? Category 1, category 2. How do you categorize them? And can you give some example of people who are differently abled but reached very well in life? Now the whole Olympics is running around paraplegic, and the new Jenan guy, the guy Jenna and all, they're very, very good.
Yes, sir.
So maybe, I don't know, if somebody is a sports person, his mind move towards differently abled Olympics and different opening sports. So maybe thoda sa dekh lo, and you must know about it. But I mean, honestly speaking, you still have the option to say I don't know, because if it's a sawal which is like completely out of the blue. But as I said, I've always maintained that, and I'm sure you guys have already followed it, that if you have to say no, I don't know, do it respectfully. And one way of doing it respectfully is at least saying, I mean, that's a very interesting thought, but can I think about it before I respond? And then you actually genuinely think about it. And if you still an answer doesn't hit you, because the other platform, which you remember, I've told you honesty. I mean, respect and honesty are the 2 invisibles which you have to maintain throughout this 30 minutes of conversation time. So don't bluff. I mean, कि वो आधा जवाब आ रहा है, कुछ थोड़ा बहुत आ रहा है, तो एक लगा दे, तुक्का लगा दे. Don't try that tukka business and all. It's far safer to say that, oh, can I guess? Can I hazard a guess? I have some idea. Can I maybe hazard a guess? You may have a guy who might say, look, seriously, we're not interested in your guesswork. So I think we'll move on to the next question. So avoid that. And you're too senior and too respectably placed now to be getting into those kind of tangles. There's nothing wrong in saying, I don't know, even saying it once or twice repeatedly. I mean, एक पूछा नहीं मालूम था, दूसरा पूछा तो फिर भी नहीं I don't. In your case, they may not happen, but if that does, please do allow yourself the time to think about it. Sometimes that idea will come, oh wow, yeah, I mean now it's got it, and then you reply. But having done so, still absolute blank, say it. That's a very nice, comment or what it's a question or whatever it is, and I did think about it, but I have no idea on how to. Probably I'll go out and then read about it. But for the present, my answer is I don't know.
Okay, sir.
Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. You are not being tested for what you don't know.
Okay.
But you obviously can't say I don't know for something which is like
Which I'm
daft.
supposed to know, yes, sir.
Daft or daft, यार. You say you
Yes,
ये
sir.
करते हो यार. फिजिकली चैलेंज के संग जाके काम करते हो, फिर कहो कि हिंदुस्तान में कितने एनजीओ, मतलब विच आर द लीडिंग टॉप एनजीओज विच आर वर्किंग इन दैट स्पेस, और विच आर द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. व्हाट अबाउट सीएसआर? Not knowing about CSR rules and CSR relationships, Section 35, Companies Act, etc., etc. That you're expected to at least have an idea about, because then that allows you to know what's the kind of kitty that you're staring at. If
Yes,
people
sir.
have to be helped through a CSR, you must be. So, what are the Navratnas? What is that? 2% of profit after tax last 3 years average. Some data you must have. It's about 17,000 crores, I'm told.
Okay.
Some years ago. 2% of profit after tax.
Okay.
The 2% of PAT last 3 years, average of 15 or 20 odd top Navratnas of this country, runs into 5-figure crores.
Okay.
So अब ये एक एडवांटेज होता है कि बात करते समय इसको हल्का सा ड्रॉप मार दिया. That there's no shortage of funds. I mean, 2%
Yes.
of the profit after tax of the last 3 fiscals
Three
of the
fiscal year.
top 15 Ratna itself is about 16,750 crores.
Sure.
हल्का सा छोड़ दिया कि भाई हमें मालूम है,
Yes,
इसके
sir.
बारे में और बात नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन मालूम है.
Yes.
So, but
Yes, sir.
be guided by that same principle. Yes, that every word which you utter also has the capacity to become a question.
Question. Yes.
See, of the top 15 Navratnas, can this, the next could be what are the top 5 Navratnas? What are mini Navratnas?
Maharatnas. Yes, sir.
तो सोच समझ के लिख के करना है कि इस्तेमाल करना है, तो उसका क्या रेपरकशन हो सकता है, क्या किस एंगल में किसी का दिमाग भाग सकता है. So all that is I'll leave it to you. I mean, you guys are fairly grown up now on that. So every word. So I mean, when you don't want to leave things to chance, I always tell write it down. कि भाई ये तो करना ही करना है, इसमें कोई कंट्रोवर्शियल अगर आएगा तो इसमें अगर ये पॉइंट मैं छोड़ रहा हूँ यहाँ पे, और इस पे अगर सवाल पूछा जाएगा तो I'll come out looking better because my next corollary would be even better than the previous one.
Yes, sir.
So you have to leave, as I said, if you there are conversational triggers, you have to leave conversational earthworms. जो डगन में अटक रहा है, मछली पकड़े तो मछली, अर्थवर्म नहीं पकड़ा, आपने मछली को पकड़ लिया.
Yes,
So
sir.
just as there are conversational triggers, you have to leave conversational earthworms,
Sure.
which can only happen if you've written down the answer and said कि अच्छा इस पॉइंट पे छोड़ दूंगा, then curiosity will kill the cat, and they will want to know कि भाई इस पॉइंट पे क्यों छोड़ा, तो आगे चलो. So strategically very important how you start, more important where you stop.
So last year you told me that always leave a hook in your answers. So
Yeah,
that hook
I
is
call it now. I'm
gone.
calling it a conversational earthworm.
Okay. So you have changed your terminology. Okay. Yes, sir.
So, and as I said, it's important. Far more important is where you stop.
Sure.
Your answer should be from one anxious query to another anxious query, rather than one boring statement of knowledge to another boring statement of knowledge.
Yes, sir.
So that's the second one. What's the third one you mentioned was?
The IDES, Defense Estate Services.
Yeah. So one is this thing, and then Karmi पे था, और कौन सा तुम्हारा?
My service, present service, Indian Defense Estate Services.
ये कहाँ पे यार?
Sir, ये as such, sir, स्कोप में नहीं था डालने के लिए, तो जो लीडरशिप वाला है उसी में से हाउस के बाद डाला हुआ है।
तो कैप्टन ऑफ हाउस विक्रांत फॉर स्पोर्ट्स एक्टिविटीज इन निडम आईटीज, इज इट?
यस सर।
नहीं, आई डोंट थिंक दैट विल हैपन.
दैट विल नॉट हेल्प सर।
No, no. I mean, I don't see much of leadership qualities which can be explored out of that.
नो सर,
Considering the
बट
fact that you please do understand that this will be the last 4 or 5 minutes. Typically, by
sir,
the time
if
you
they
reach,
ask me to introduce myself, and in my introduction I say that presently I am in Indian Defence State Service, so through my
so
introduction they can catch it and then they can
then you
lead.
could leave a trigger.
Yes sir.
You could leave a trigger at that earthworm at that point itself, to say that incidentally, I've also mentioned that in my professional hobbies and interests.
Okay,
So
so
then
what
it
sort
might
of
stick somewhere.
questions?
When they come to that, then they say, remember in your introduction, you had said this. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Okay, all right.
Now, I'm saying Yash, but also be prepared for the fact that there may be zero question on your hobbies. And you might feel कि यार मैंने इतना सब कुछ किया साला कुछ नहीं हुआ.
It
Be
may be
prepared
the
for that.
case. Yes
Be
sir.
prepared for that. Be
Yes sir.
prepared for the fact that the conversation may not move out of DAF at all.
Hmm.
And be prepared for the fact that not more than 25% conversation took place from my DAF, 75% was from all across the world, because that's it. And that's what I keep telling children. The way you have to prepare for this is like 2.5 times of mains. Because in the
Yes.
mains, your subject is known, your questions are known, your structures are known, the topics from where the questions are known, and 10 years of previous questions are known. So mindset of examiners are also known.
Hmm.
इसमें तो सारा कुछ मालूम ही नहीं ना,
Yes
क्या
sir.
पूछ लेगा.
बिल्कुल.
So even the sky is not the limit, because they might suddenly talk about some terrestrial, like what they got those. अभी वो sounds आ रही ना आजकल.
Sir, ExpoSat आया है अभी recently.
First, they're called FRBs. I think first radio bursts or something like that. These are
Okay.
sounds which are emanating from extraterrestrial this thing, and which are these sound like
Oh, okay.
and each such wave has the capacity of 1 million suns. So if you can tap into that energy, you're sorted out for life. So I'm saying
So
कहीं
yes
पे
sir,
भी जा सकता है.
basically
And
it can go
by the way,
anywhere.
these are discoveries of the past. I'm talking of the past 6 months, 1 year, current
Okay.
affairs.
All
So
right.
you'll have to kind of brush up a little on that. Policy और देख लो. Policy सारा देख लेना. On the, since your maritime data is very strong, there's a lot of new maritime initiatives which have been taken, including launches of new ships, launching of
Yes
new
sir.
career, new
Yes sir.
launching of new maritime pacts with neighboring countries. Maritime is big time. So a
Yes
lot,
sir.
and I'm sure you'll have the data on that. Now,
Sure sir.
Maldives
Yes
is
sir.
misbehaving.
Yes sir.
Maldives is suddenly misbehaving. That's part of the maritime, range. And they're talking about, there could be the question. Now they're saying that the presence of the Indian Navy and the Indian Ocean, especially as it faces around the Maldives thing, should be withdrawn. That's
Yes
what
sir.
the new president said. उसके बारे में आपका क्या view है?
Sure
So,
sir. The
uh,
Red Sea narrative अभी चल रहा है थोड़ा सा न्यूज़ में. The
so
Houthis and
obviously I can never be Yash, or in terms of, I can only tell the area in which you must know. But specific incidents at my age, and I don't read so much. I don't read from an interview perspective. I read from a, what I find interesting perspective. But you'll have to read it, because that data stays from your DAF.
okay.
Maritime stays from your DAF. You're a topper, BSc Nautical Science, then Jesus and Mary, DPS. DPS के बारे में थोड़ा बहुत जरूर पढ़ लेना.
Okay.
So
Sure
when
sure
was the
sir.
first DPS started? What is the history of DPS?
Okay. So Mathura Road was the first DPS.
Mathura Road. Started in tents.
Yes sir.
Started in tents in Mathura Road. I'm reading it because I'm reading a book by Mr. Indrajit Khanna, 1966 batch, who started
Okay.
his education in DPS, and he mentions about his studying in tents.
All right.
He's a classmate of Amitabh Bachchan,
Okay.
Sherwood में 66
Okay.
batch के. उनकी किताब पढ़ रहा हूँ.
All
So
right. Yeah.
it's very interesting. So I'm saying, imagine if he's sitting there,
Yes
he's
sir.
a DPS. So anybody who's a DPS guy would, feel very proud of the fact that if the boy knows more about DPS.
Yes sir. Yes sir.
So
Sure.
your education stares at that. Jesus Mary stares. So उस गवर्नमेंट के बारे में क्या स्टार्ट हुआ, कैसे क्या क्या मोटो है, डीपीएस का क्या मोटो है, ये सब चीजें मालूम हो in a nice kind of way. In case the conversation comes out, you can always talk about this. But these are things that, as I said, these are things that shine out of your DAF. And anyone who has interest in that will want to question you a little bit on that. Maritime is big time. So I think you should prepare big time on maritime.
Okay.
I would, if you have the two subjects which you have to prepare in your hobbies, interests, side of your leadership quality of your character and personality, which is equal to civil service, good for civil service. I think the two things are definitely table and tribal interest.
Sure. Yes, sir.
उसी पे इन्वर्ट अगर बातचीत चल गई तो मतलब 5-7 मिनट एंड में बातचीत इसी पे होगी.
Yes, sir.
And you can come
And
out. And as I always have told you, when you come out, please do thank them for their time and wish them the best for the rest of the day. Be prepared for the fact that is there anything else that you would ask? Because
okay.
even in a couple of mocks, which I was recently, I was in Delhi doing some mock interviews along with Chattar Singh. Now, Chattar has been he's been a member and he's been chairperson of various boards and all. And in one of the candidates, he asked them, "Was there anything else that you'd like to know from us?" And the silence. I mean, okay,
Okay.
it could be silence also. But if there's a nice, intelligent question which can be asked, I suppose nothing like it.
Okay.
So,
So, any suggestion from your side? Because I may have some questions, but I would still like to have a better question from
any
you.
question which makes them feel good. I mean,
Hmm.
it could also be in your case, since your DAF is quite long, they may ask you that, there's lots that you've written in your hobbies and professional thing, including singing and, composing songs, singing. Is there something in your, DAF out of your hobbies and interests which we've not asked you about and about which you'd like to share briefly? Be prepared for that. तो अपने 4-5 टॉप के रख लो.
Okay.
ये 4-5 टॉप के हैं. इसमें से अगर 2-3 एक बार ने पूछा और अगर ये सवाल आता है तो मैं इसके बारे में जरूर बात करूँ.
Sure.
I mean, I've always said that if you have to ask them questions, you should ask them questions which relates to them and not what do you think about, let's say, the threatening issues of Bangladesh or what do you think should people in Japan should do, which has 2,000 earthquakes in a year? I mean, so what? I mean,
Hmm.
but I've always suggested that, for instance, I mean, a good question, if I was sitting in a panel, which I would, which will make me feel good, would be something like this that so we have an incentive to come to this panel because we are choosing a life, a new life. You all have already arrived in life. What is your incentive to serve on a panel like this?
Okay.
Or amidst the diversity of children who come, both subject-wise, geography-wise, economic and backward-wise, economic status-wise, how are you able to find that unity that this person will make a good civil servant?
So actually, this was the question which I which was in my mind. That what is the ultimate quality you as an experienced civil servant is looking for?
Ultimate,
That.
maybe one or two. Don't say
Yes.
ultimate. There can be no, there's no ultimate.
Okay.
You
So,
could always say, what are the top 2 or 3 qualities? I mean, again, amidst the diversity of backgrounds that the children that come to you,
sure. Yes, so
what
that
are
was
those
something which
what are
was
those, this was also which I coached people about. What are those 2 or 3 qualities that you are seeking?
okay.
That, okay, this is equal to good civil servant.
Okay, sir.
So they might say
Yes.
honesty, integrity, it will definitely not be knowledge.
Yes, sir.
The capacity to even say no, the capacity to accept, okay, I don't know.
Okay.
So again, that goes back to the fact that what is it that constitutes good qualities of a civil servant? And
So,
I think honesty, integrity is very strong in that. Honesty, integrity, the to be able to accept difference, and yet be able to move out in unity.
okay.
Because there's no two any assignment that you will get, it will not be robotically similar.
Okay.
It'll all be different, and yet you have
Yes.
to go on achieving. So.
Yes, sir. And sir, the last time we had this video conference, so you pointed out that I was looking very chubby, and you ordered me literally to lose
Yeah, I
some
think
weight.
you have again become chubby.
Yes, so that was my concern, sir. That again I have gained some weight. Perhaps it is the winter weight gain which I am getting.
When is your
So, sir,
interview?
So quite near only. So it's on in 17th of January. So, anything on that aspect?
I mean, yeah, if you can reduce a little bit, nothing like it.
Okay.
Because your
Sure.
picture is again very slim. I mean, as I see your DAF picture is quite slim.
So it is of 2021.
Huh.
So,
So
yes, sir.
if you can reduce a little weight, that will always be good.
Sure. Sure,
Switch
sir.
on to just kind of soup and dry toasts.
Okay.
पर ठंडा है तो बाहर तो नहीं जा सकते भी दिल्ली में हो कहाँ हो
Sir, Delhi में under training in Delhi camp.
हाँ तो अभी तो फिर जरा वॉकिंग वॉकिंग भी मुश्किल है यार आई डोंट नो हाउ कोल्ड इट इज आई एम इन जयपुर एंड जयपुर इज आई मीन आई हैव गिवन अप माय मॉर्निंग वॉक्स because it's just too damn cold in the morning and I don't want to get sick.
So fortunately, our director is way too passionate for physical training. So he makes us awake at 6:30 anyhow. Be it any.
हाँ तो बस फिर थोड़ा सा बस try and reduce your calories and try and burn up a little more.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
I may follow some diet for 2 weeks or so.
and again there is a gap between your tie and your shirt that should be avoided.
Okay. So okay, sir.
There should be nothing, no white showing. Take a single knot. I mean, this is a very old-fashioned double knot. If you tie a single knot, it looks more sleek. We don't take the tie twice. You just take it once and then wrap it around and
Yes.
take it back. Single knot देख लो सब में आ जाएगा. बाकी ड्रेस वेस तो तुम लोग सब फिट हो यार तुम तो ऑलरेडी सिलेक्ट हो चुके हो उसमें कुछ अभी इनके बच्चों का अभी भी कहते कहते परेशान हो जाता हूँ साला सब वही व्हाइट शर्ट ब्लैक कोट ब्लैक पैंट तो भाई यार
Yes.
बदलो भाई दिमाग बदलो
Yes, sir.
ब्लैक कोट ब्लैक पैंट से हटो निकलो बाहर निकलो.
Will it go fine or any suggestions on this as
This
well?
is okay. I think you can knock off the sweater. You
Yes, sir. Obviously, sir, this is because
this is
of
okay.
the.
This is absolutely okay. This is absolutely. You are already in the service, yeah. Another dark-colored pocket kerchief or something like that. This is
Okay.
obviously gray, so black belt, black shining shoes.
All
This is
right.
okay. Absolutely. You are in a different league, yeah. See, a guy who's already in the service like IPS में है या किसी और service में है, is one of the revenue services and he's appearing before. So it's all this is already done and dusted. You know, it's already done and dusted. Now it's a
Yes.
question of should he jump over or should he just remain where he is?
Yes, sir.
That's the point to be decided.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm sure you'll get 200 this time, about 195, 200 plus.
Yes, sir.
So, but
The
maintain
last year
your
also
stride.
my walks was going quite well, and on that day as well, sir, I think I performed decently enough. The essay marks of last year was 93, so sir, that dragged my entire marks like rank like anything. So let's see how it.
It's really certain this time you'll be in the top 50, 60 easily.
Fingers
Just
crossed.
do well in your interview and remain
Yes.
cool and calm, remain smiling. But practice in front of the mirror that the smile shouldn't look condescending. It
Okay.
should be a smile of celebration and joy, of respect and honesty when sitting before a very distinguished panel. And it should not look like I'm already an officer, so I mean, what the hell, you know?
Okay.
So
So have you
practice
got that
that.
impression in this conversation? Or?
No, you've been good. You've been good, but I would still say that while you practice a little bit in front of the mirror on the smile and joy aspect, celebrational aspect, and record that, which you I'm sure will do, and then see the recording, and you'll know that यहाँ पे देखो, you know, there's a twinkle in my eye, there's a joy, there's a certain celebrational issue. I mean, it can be seen that I'm enjoying my time over here respectfully and honestly, and if you can elongate that and do a little more, definitely it will help.
Okay, sure, sir.
ठीक है,
Sure.
चलो, go
Thank
break
you.
a leg.
Thank you so much, sir.
अब फिर
So
से
would like
मुलाकात होगी.
to meet you again in Chennai.
Yeah,
So
Chennai.
would like to
Otherwise,
meet you again.
I don't know. I mean, I have now actually I've already done one set of mocks in Delhi. So
Okay.
so there's a Chattar and I trying to catch hold of Rajiv and Chobe or some of those
Okay.
people also. And
Sir, I was talking about the post result gathering which took place.
I know,
Unfortunately.
I know all of you.
Yeah.
That will be held in any case. But
Yes, sir.
what had happened was that this year there's been a demand saying, "Sir, आप दिल्ली आइए." So
The
I've done
बिल्कुल sir.
one for the January February session. I've done one. I think I may be asked to do another one in January, where
Okay.
about 7, 8 candidates turned up there, and it was like from morning to evening वही चल रहा था.
Yes, sir.
And now they're saying, "Sir, if you can come for 2 more days, we would like you to do a one to many, and then maybe a few mock interviews one to one." So but I told them it's too damn cold here. I mean, so.
It's quite cold, sir. It's quite cold. Yes.
बुढ़ापे में थोड़ा अपने आप का भी ख्याल रखना पड़ता है.
No, sir, you look way more younger than that.
Yeah, but I'll be touching 70, so I mean I have to be a little careful. I mean not now, maybe another 2.5 years from now. But
Sir,
yes, but
it's
one has to be careful here. And Delhi is pollutionally too bad here. I mean, forget the weather.
indeed. So
Uh,
that is the only issue we
uh,
avoid going outside. So yes.
so I wouldn't mind any other city which is not so pollutionally so bad. Weather-wise, it's okay. I mean, one has warm clothes, and still you'll be sitting in a fairly air-conditioned room, so it's in
Yes.
control. But it's too much pollution, yaar. Phir naak mein aur gale mein, all those things.
Hmm.
So avoid as far as possible is what I do Delhi till at least March. So maybe around April, June again, I'll be coming down. I'll catch
Sure,
up with
sir.
you guys.
Sure,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
We'll
All
try
the
to meet
best,
you
Yash.
there.
All the best as always. Break
Okay,
a
sir.
leg. Break a
Thanks, sir.
leg.